All right, Steven is joining us. He sounds bad. He feels okay. He's from CrossFit Tweedbank.
That's the one. That's the one.
What I love about any town anywhere in the UK is though we sound like a town in the UK.
That definitely does. Tweedbank. It's barely even a town. It's small enough to almost just be a town. But yeah, you're right. You can always tell exactly what it is, right?
So what's the town next to it called?
Galashiels. So that's
Right,
the
perfect.
yeah,
And what are the
yeah.
what's on the other side?
You've got Galashiels that side. You've got Kelso, Melrose, Earlston. You know, these are little Scottish
Addleston,
towns.
right?
Yeah, Earlston. Yeah, Hoyk is the best one, if you could say that. HAWICK. Hoyk.
Hoyk,
Hoyk. That's it. Perfect.
Hoyk.
Hoyk. That's it.
I'm from Hoyk.
From Hoyk. That was good. That was impressive.
I'm from Castle Hoyk.
Castle Hoyk.
Right
Aye,
up
that'll
there,
do.
the Castle Hoyk.
That's it. That's it.
Well, listen, I'm having you on because I follow your content a bit, and I really enjoy it, and I I I want to come up with a term for it because awful lot of content out there, and there are people like yourself who are the exception and not the rule that I would call the taking the piss but educated, because
Yeah.
the hot take and the rage bait and all that stuff is real easy to do, and it's a much finer line for an intelligent gentleman like yourself to poke at CrossFit, HYROX. Don't take yourself too seriously, but kind of make a point, which I really appreciate. So I just watched Blame the Sleds, Blame the Carpet, Blame an Erg,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and sleep, because the rest of us all slept perfectly.
yeah,
You're an enigma.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly that. I knew it because just before I was doing it, I was like, I can see these posts coming out, and what's hilarious about it is we can get into it in quite a bit of detail, but being ingrained in it, you know, you can take the piss out of it until you do it, and then you're like, okay, all those things are true. So you can sit on the sidelines and take the piss, but they're all true, every one of them. You know what I mean? It's funny.
I mean, at the end of the day, only in my kind of ripe old age am I realizing, like, oh, it's not just the night before, right? How did I eat for 3 days before? How did I
Yeah,
eat? I mean, I went on a run yesterday, and the older I get, the harder it gets. But I went on a run yesterday where I couldn't, I was walking, and it's like, is something broken? And it's like, no, I've eaten like shit the last 2 days. My body's like, yeah, we're not really running today. And like, don't do
yeah.
that on your big comp day, on your big HYROX day, or you'll pay for it.
Yeah. The pizza thing the night before, it's always the classic one. It's my first one, so I'm going to go out for pizza, and maybe I've even had people, yeah, I'll go for a couple of drinks because it's a night away from town, and you're like, this, I mean, there's an argument to say maybe you don't want to take it seriously enough, but also you kind of do, because it still should be a test of fitness. Like, we can get into what I think it's for, but it still should be a test, and you should treat it like that. So a couple of drinks and a pizza and whatever, you're not going to feel great for it. So what do you expect when the outcome is it didn't feel great? Of course it didn't. You know what I mean?
Well, the another post I saw that I really liked is you broke down what makes a good coach, and knowledge, experience, and what was the third one? Compassion.
Care, compassion.
And listen, that was great. You could give a talk on that. It was really great. The problem is, I don't think it's kind of like seeing a therapist. It's hard to shop around. You kind of don't know until you're kind of deep in it. So I guess my question would be, for you, if someone says, okay, how the heck do I decide? I mean, obviously, if someone's a knob on social, I'm not going to get coached by that guy, but you've met someone at the gym or they're recommended by a friend. How are you going to know how well they serve those three buckets?
I think you have to test and try. And this is such an odd one because I think I've near enough had. Now I'm an exception to it because I've done this so that I could get experience in working with coaches. But I've probably had about 50 coaches over the last decade, right? No joke, 50 coaches. And I'm always like, I'm going to come on with you for 3 months. I'm going to whatever. But I think you should probably straight away if someone's full of shit, right? And I genuinely believe that in my heart of hearts. If you look at somebody and go, they're not really given any educational content. They're not going to hold that stuff under lock and key all of the time. They will probably do stuff. So you can see if somebody knows what they're talking about, whether they're just regurgitating everybody's stuff. Then you can say, okay, are they posting stuff about what they've actually done in the past? So if I've got somebody who's, and I hate to pick on it, but you've got the pure gym PT thing that always happens where they say, I'm going to take you through a transformation. but yet you can see every piece of thing they've ever looked at. You can dig down in them if you want. Have you ever been through a transformation? If I don't like talking to the transformation thing because we're more talking about performance stuff. But if they're saying this is what I will get you to do, have they done it or have they taught anybody else to do it? Is there social proof? So that's like the experience bit, and the care and compassion bit. Like you can see if somebody's just trying to make a quick buck off you or not. Like you can tell. I think once you scratch the surface, a lot of people can lie about it and they can play a good game. But actually, I think you
I
can see
see.
inherently, right?
I can tell, but I'm saying
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think people can be fooled,
yeah. Very easily, yeah.
right? So they're like, I just want the answer. You
Mhm.
seem to have it, so give it to me. And I
Yeah,
think that's the thing. And I
yeah,
think, unfortunately, because it is time and money, people don't necessarily want to do that. But I think so. What you're saying is anybody you talk to, go, hey, let's give this a crack for 90 days, and I'll sign up and I'll commit to whatever it is, 3 times a week, whatever it is, and then you feel each other out and decide this person's right for me or not.
yeah.
Because you again, a lot of times we don't know because we've never done it before, especially if we're new to fitness, and then we get the other coach and we're like, oh wow, my other coach sucked.
Yeah, that exactly that. And I think talking to people about what their coaching experience is like. So, referrals are the best way to grow a gym or whatever. There's the same way to grow a coaching business. So like somebody isn't gonna lie about the service that you've given them. So like, reach out and talk. I've done it before. Before I got into strongman, I spoke to a couple of people like, yeah, they're on with this Dean guy. What's he like? And they're like, yeah, he's shit hot. And you'd be like, okay, you say he's shit hot. Is it because he's an athlete? How many times a week does he speak to you? If you've ever been through this, what happened? Like, that's just better from real people. I will never believe, really, and this is quite bad, anyone on face value of what they tell me through a video because I know some of the nonsense I could put out. If I wanted to today, I could just bullshit and get people to buy into it if I wanted to.
Right.
Therefore, I'm going to take the words of other people as a large group more than I'm going to take it from one person, and that's kind of the rule of thumb for me. So yes, test it, check what it's like, and make sure you jump ship as soon as the red flags show. I've had people sit with coaches for months and months and months and say nothing, no contact, and just sit there and pay it. Mate, what are you doing? Go away.
So I have, and I checked yours just before I asked you this or before I said this, but I have uh the more that's in your LinkedIn bio or your email signature or your IG bio, like like that is a red flag. Like you are full of shit, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yours
yeah.
is quite simple. I think everybody should do fitness. I own this gym, right? You're not putting every single fucking degree you have but people think because they've been told by other knobs, put all those keywords in. I mean, again, I can't believe in 2026 people do that in their email, but they still do, like a really long signature. And
Yeah.
I'll usually just respond and say, like, your signature is too long. I cannot take you seriously.
Yeah, 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 definitely. It's the accolade thing, and that actually I think we're moving towards. That's either there's two realms of possibilities if that happens. One is AI told them to, and one is a business coach or a some sort of social media coach did. And I think
Speaking of which, the business coach, right? The ultimate have never been a success. Sorry, business coaches. And I've hired some and I've had some
yeah,
great ones. I've had some
yeah,
mentors. But like speaking of never done shit, but I could teach you how to do it.
mate, it's bonkers. But what I do like now is that I think it's been scraping up for so long. Now there's this package where you can tell. Like it's been done so many times now that I can look at a profile, and that's not just me. I think as it happens for longer and longer, the more bad experiences people have with these people, you'll be able to see it very quickly. And that model of put all these things in, do this, these keywords. I think people will spot it straight away and they'll seek authenticity. And that's why I think that my content, when I sort of poke into the HYROX world, does really well. Same with yours is different because it's factual, so that works. And then you've got mine, which is, people know that it's authentic and it's not just cookie cutter made up stuff. And but I think really quickly that's going to get washed out. The people with the shit in their bios, the small emails, they're already disappearing. And I like that because the cream rises to the top or whatever they say, right? So I think that's disappearing
Yeah. And
quickly.
this is the thing about what I always tell people, because people ask me about, you know, podcasts or content or whatever, because I've been doing it a while, is like, you have to be really patient, right?
Oh yeah.
Because like, if you don't see any progress, you should get into something else. But I look back on where I was in year 7 that I thought like, why hasn't this happened yet? Or why is this going? And it's like, oh, it's happening in year 12. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And that's
yeah,
just, sorry guys, that's just the name of it, right? It's like experience, learning, good, bad. You know, you talked about people who kind of don't want to learn. And I think that's a big part of it, right? Is you don't want to be the guy that knows everything, right? And knowledge is great. And you've got to, I had something come up yesterday on the show, right? And it was asking, and it was like, I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I thought I'm going to be like big enough to go, let me think about that. I
yeah,
may not agree
yeah,
with you when you're done, but like, let me just take that in, right?
yeah,
It's a data point of information. Someone said you are this, and it's like, okay, if that's what you're receiving, let me just not be like, fuck you, you don't know, but like, okay, let me
yeah.
think about that.
Yeah, and it's half the reason why I do all these things. So like last weekend, it was did the HYROX doubles, and then I did the CrossFit Open on the Friday, and then I did a strongman comp. And it's because I do these things not because I'm good at them, or one, because I'm willing to be embarrassed and learn and whatever else, but two, also so that I can actually talk about them. Because I think we're starting to realize that you can see people who have done the things that they're talking about and those that haven't. And I think it gives you a whole new viewpoint on something just to go and do it, be willing to look foolish, be willing to be rubbish at something, to even just have the experience. And if you like it, cool, fire in. But I think you have to just keep doing and doing and doing and doing and doing, to your point.
Well, and again, I'm going to say a lot of nice things about you, so I hope you can appreciate it.
Thank you.
So you were at HYROX. You were wearing the microphone and the hat. Very very chic influencer look. By the way, it's funny. A friend of mine and I were talking, and everybody does this move right here, and it's so funny because I'm holding a pack of matches to like
Like it.
look like a microphone, and it's so funny because like the whole point used to be that you don't see the mic. They
That's the
invented the
point. Yeah.
they invented the boom mic so it was above you and a tiny lapel mic. And people always do this. And I have a big I fucking hate it. I'm old school. If you see me doing interviews with the athletes I put it on a little stick.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but they came over and said this is against the rules. And it's actually not in the rules, but you handled it super well. You did what the guy said. You let him take it even, which I was really impressed. I would have said, "Can I just hand it to my friend or my mate?"
Mate. Yeah,
My
that's the
mate
one.
from Hike. What's the name of that town?
Yeah, Hoik, that was close enough.
From Hoika Castle. Um, and you said he was nice about it, right? But I thought that's something that tells me a lot about a human's character, right? You were nice in the moment, and you were nice after. You didn't go, fuck them. They suck. They're clearly out to get me. I'll never do another high rock, which is like the kind of way
It's
the
it's
people's, right?
they do. It's the main character syndrome thing. And
Yes.
so, I think that you should approach every situation with, you'll never get a good outcome at the time, right? So you get very good at seeing, okay, immediately I could see this is going to annoy me. Okay, and then you fast forward and go, what's the outcome here? If I kick off, I look like an idiot. The judge is literally doing his job to the best of his ability, not being a dick. And, not that he was aggressive, he was very firm. So, most people probably would have reacted the other way, but he's literally doing the job to the best he's able. So,
That somebody told him to do.
exactly.
Go get
So,
that guy's
so
microphone.
even, yeah, and even if he was wrong, irrelevant. I'm there as a participant of this thing that other people are organizing. And so as a comp organizer, like, so I run the CrossFit Comp Reaver Games next one in like a month. And for me, I'm the same as you. I say to people, if you shout at my judges, I will disqualify you, because to the best of their ability, like, I don't care. I'll disqualify and refund your money. Fine. Because they're there to do something. Most of the time they're volunteering and never getting paid, right? The only reason that you're able to do this thing is because that person is there doing that, right? And it sounds like a very, oh yeah, we only get to do this so that I can get more volunteers next time, whatever. But actually, genuinely, it only runs because of them. So treat them with some respect. And in most cases, they've never been in that scenario before. And I think a lot of higher level athletes really take the piss out of that, because they come from this soapbox, grandiose, I am so much better than you, you're just a judge and I'm an athlete. I wholeheartedly disagree. They're above you in every case in that scenario right there. Like that guy was above me, irrespective of my following, my output, how much I've done it, my experience. He's above me, and therefore I'll treat him with that respect, right?
Yeah, and they have they have an influencer like problem, right? Like the reason we're in this magical time of Instagram and content, and it is certainly, I don't know how you put percentage of, but a percentage of HYROX taking over the world is you look really cool, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
A hybrid rock star, dare I say.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, so there are a lot of guys and gals with their own sponsors or friends with them. People are now advertising, hey, I'll shoot your course. And so I didn't see a problem with it either, because if you're running with a GoPro, even though it's not moving, it could fall off your body. I don't see how a mic is the problem, but they wanted to make a black and white example of you, and they did. And who knows how many mics they caught or didn't catch. My question to you is, I mean, this is a public show, but like, would you try it again and maybe hide it better?
Yeah, so I talked to the camera guy. I'm going to tape it to my chest. So it's going to go here. That's the plan if I do another one. Did you see my follow-up video, by the way, with the girl in Vegas?
Oh, well, listen, you said, well, she got paid to do content. Or they give people likes to go do.
Yeah, I want mine. So I was like, this would have been good. Give me one. I want that. That's what I would like to do. I think it'd be funny to see, but then again, I think I'm being a little bit disrespectful if I've already been told off and I do it again. So I do have a level of respect for the comp organizers in which I probably wouldn't do that, but I will probably push to let me be some type of content ambassador for it, not being fully involved in HYROX. I think it's great for somebody like me as a CrossFitter. Not, it's good to see people who love HYROX doing HYROX content. Cool, but they already love it, right?
Yeah. I think if you found someone, and I'm sure you can find one, a mate of a mate that knows people, and like not the day you get there, but ahead of time, and not just email info at, actually talk to someone and say, hey, can I do this? We can collab on it, or I'll send it to you, whatever you want to do, but I'd like to be able to wear a mic because I got a good team and it's great content, and I'm definitely reaching the folks that mostly shit on you. So
100%.
So why don't you let me show them what a good experience it is while you're taking the piss? You're running by and going, where's the one rep max snatch, right?
That video did nuts numbers. I don't know why. I thought it'd be small.
Well, because I think some people think you're serious. I think some people think like, yeah, fuck those HYROXers. Where's the one rep max snatch?
And I'm like, I'm doing it. I mean? It's funny. Yeah, it's a good topic though, that, and it was originally the reason why I started doing them was because, we could talk about the CrossFit ethos, the CrossFit way of training all day long, but I think a huge percentage of the people who shit on it or call it just a long HYROX workout, just a long CrossFit workout. Okay, if that's the case, go do one, right? And so mate, it's as simple as that. And then I even think that if I was that way inclined, I have then got the fuel and the ammo to say, yeah, it was just an easy long CrossFit workout, right? If I wanted to, which I wouldn't, but I've got the ammo to go do that. I don't think you're allowed to just decide that that's what it is and then shout from the rooftops that that's what it is without even knowing.
Well, and I stopped watching the negative CrossFit stuff, and we all know, what shows I'm talking about. But
for sure.
I used to peek at them a little bit, and every now and again, or like, well, maybe they got a good point there. But I had to just unfollow everything. Yeah. And the one thing in common is, if you look at all of them, none of them have done one. And that's how you can tell the difference, because it would be very easy to just do one, right? And then at least have an opinion that way. Hey, I did one, it was shit, or I did one and I learned this.
That's my point.
It's pretty simple to just, So that's kind of the universal thing that you kind of find. You own a CrossFit gym. When did you start seeing people show up with, can you help me get good at HYROX?
So I kind of did it before then. So we're talking like the big surge around here was maybe like, 2 or 3 years ago. There's a guy that was training with us that had his own HYROX gym. And like, I was able to see that they, like, one for me in my head, and I know it's a bigger statement and some people agree and disagree, but I think one, CrossFit is a training methodology, HYROX is a race. So I'm not disputing that at all. What I don't like is the way that HYROX facilitate a training program, because my thing is, how do we get people the fittest, strongest, fastest, most functional, skillful? Cool. We'll not get into that debate. But so I have no issue at all with HYROX as a whole. So people that train in a CrossFit way that like it, I think they can go and do HYROX. And people that train in a HYROX way can go and do it. So he had a HYROX garage. I had a spare space in the gym, and I said to him, why are you in your garage? People like this. There's a lot of people around would love this. Have this space. Go in and open your gym. So he done it, and then it kind of took off for there. And so I don't think the paths need to be blurred from a training perspective, because I think one's superior to the other when it comes to training. But I don't think that you can be good at HYROX if that's your specific thing, because you enjoy it if you just do CrossFit in the way that it's normally done. I just don't. I don't believe it. Having done them, you need to do more running. You need to do more longer stuff. It doesn't work out well. But that's where that kind of came from. He had a gym in his garage because he just kind of done HYROX before it was cool. And then I said, people love this thing, come and use this space because it's an extra style of fitness. My whole thing is get local people into doing fitness, whatever way that is. We can argue about what's the most efficient later on, but as a foot in the door, find the thing that you like the best. And so he had that space. So that'd be probably 2 or 3 years ago now, I would imagine.
For me, it's such a big miss. And again, because the people at the top of CrossFit, not just the games, but CrossFit HQ,
oh yeah,
see this as our thing above all else. And they're actually leaning back into it now, the whole cult thing, which is like, again, like you actually could have had this, like the peak games on ESPN or CBS or whatever it was, like, hey, here's this version for a window into what we do, because most people prior to 5 years ago had probably never thrown a wall ball or done a box jump, or, you know what I'm saying? So but like, just take out the complex lifts and take out the gymnastics, right? Which is essentially what hybrid training is, air quotes,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So if you simplify it that way, the concept of a fitness race was right there for everyone. And these guys figured it out, even though Spartan even had kind of a version of it. They did these stadium races. And so, I mean, they had their obstacles, but if they had learned that, like, oh, people like this, don't get muddy, and they had like ball slams and box step overs and a few of these movements that, again, people weren't doing if you just went to the Y or just went to Planet Fitness, which is most of the world. They might not have even done a lunge, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They just lift weights. So anyway,
Yeah.
I've been saying this forever. It was right there, and CrossFit blew it. And now, rather than like get on board, they wanted to shit on it.
I know, but I think they're starting to learn their lesson, because they realize what a behemoth it is.
Do you think 26.1 was a direct look, we can do this, or do you think it was just that's what they programmed?
I think that's just what they programmed.
I think so too. See, I'm with you.
I don't buy it. People like to make the different stuff. Like I don't care.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're right. I think that it's the training for it is difficult for me. I think CrossFit were right to double down and not say, okay, because, imagine what they would have done. Okay, they essentially would have, if to use their language, they would have done a scaled, accessible one event CrossFit comp. That's what it would be called, right? Slightly long, whatever else from their version. So you're removing the skill stuff and you're removing any heavy lifting. And so for me, them going, no, we're going to keep those things in, I think was perfect, because the whole point and the whole thing that the Level 1 handbook is built on is that hard stuff and the heavy stuff and the difficult stuff. So I think they were right to do that. Did they go about it the right way? No, because this could have easily been CrossFit sponsored a HYROX event, or CrossFit were facilitating it for them in some way with the platform that they had. Like they could still do that, but it would take a level of, I think it would take, obviously it's up for sale. So if there's a new owner that comes in, I think there's a partnership opportunity there somewhere. You know what I mean? But to be fair, the longer they leave it, the less, HYROX don't need it, right? So it's went the other way. HYROX originally probably could have needed CrossFit, and then they went, fuck you. So they went, all right, cool. And then they moved on, and now it's its own thing.
I used to post every time a games athlete did, it was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I would be like, ooh, we got to share this. Mal O'Brien is trying to HYROX, right? Now I don't really care. I mean, Tia being out there every time is awesome, right? Just like I've met a lot of like famous-ish people and athletes and movie stars. Like, I've been pretty fortunate at what I do, and some people just have it. And like, I met Tia for the first time. They came down to Atlanta from Proven Nashville to do HYROX, and I was just like, Yep, just seeing her standing there talking to people. She's fucking got it, man. Fucking amazing, right? Saw her running 6 months pregnant the other day.
Wild.
Right. So why is it important? In one, can you in a few minutes on a podcast, can you even explain it to the average person why that next step, why learning to do gymnastics or
Lift
clean,
heavy or do double unders or
why
any
why
of that
is
stuff.
why like if I just do well-rounded, plyometrics and some weightlifting and some endurance, like why can't I just do that and be the fittest I can be? Like what is, when you say it's built on, and again, I realize I'm asking you to describe something you've
Oh
spent
yeah, no, for
your life
sure, for
doing,
sure.
but educate me
Yeah.
because I don't,
No,
my
yeah,
wife and I are
no.
both very fit, but we don't ever touch that stuff.
Definitely, you made a very, very good point there. So you said the exact words, the fittest I can be. So there's a couple of things coming to this. One, how do you define fitness, right? So HYROX as it stands, being a race, not a training methodology, doesn't have a definition of fitness. So we do. For me, that includes functional fitness across broad time modal domains. I'm not going to get into the fucking handbook talk because it's nonsense and I just sound like a charlatan. But using it in its broadest terms.
Say the sentence though. You said it really fast because you've said it a lot, but say it for the people again. Say it slow.
Increasing capacity of functional fitness across broad time and modal domains, right? And there's a few things in there. There's
and that came from the mountaintop. That came from Greg himself. Yes,
right up there. Correct. Straight from the handbook. You regurgitate it as time goes on, and you give different versions of it. But that's from the OG. When CrossFit was in its golden era, right? So the thing is, you said that exact sentence, to be the fittest I can be. So for one, you have to have a definition. If HYROX comes up with a better definition, which includes lactate threshold, VO2 max, then cool. I've always said this. If someone comes up with a better definition that you can work towards, I would sell my CrossFit gym and open something else. But for me, when we're talking about fitness, I've done a video on that. But when we're talking about fitness, so that once we've defined it as that, we've got broad time. So we don't get good at short when we do HYROX training as a whole. I know that we do some threshold work, but you're talking 6-7 minute workouts. You're not efficient at those, and those would be shown from tests in that way. Now, there's the argument that when we say broad time and not enough CrossFitters do enough long stuff, separate argument, bad programming, right? But in theory, if you're doing what CrossFit should be doing, you're getting better at broad time. So you could be fitter in smaller time frames if we're talking to broad time. Modal domains, we're talking about different skills and different things that you're able to do. Two reasons for the difficult stuff. One is the adaptation over into real life of learning and going through hard things and being less of a bitch, to me, is a big deal, right? And I see this in CrossFit competitions. When things don't go someone's way, I see way less moaning, griping, crying than when they do when, high level HYROX athletes do. Now, I'm not saying there's a link because I made someone do double unders that they're less likely to complain than somebody who is just done running. But I think there is a level of training over a long period of time, learning skills that you're always shit at, that you're terrible at, overcoming it, that transfers over into real life in the way that you treat your fitness as a whole. And I think there is a massive thing to that. And I've seen it with my own eyeballs, and I genuinely believe it.
But what if I was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach and I said exactly what you just said? Like, great, and you're never going to get to be if you don't do this, because we promise all the things you said.
If they defined fitness in a certain way and were able to get me to the different markers that define fitness, then sure.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Not particularly.
Like learning Brazilian jiu-jitsu, hard, right?
Yeah, I've done comps, so it's a kind of bad.
But I'm saying, I'm just picking this thing, which absolutely teaches you about life, right? How you show up in combat and how you show up, like all the training, all the hard shit you do to get fit.
Oh yes. So that was just one element of the difficult stuff, right? We can unpick it further. So that's just specifically why double unders and why the stuff that's difficult, right? So that's that part. Then we went over the broad time part, which is multiple disciplines. The biggest and most important bit for me is the standards bit. And from every video and every gym I've been in that's a HYROX gym, There is none.
You keep assuming that like I'm defending. I'm just talking about in
Oh,
general.
not you. Yeah, yeah. Me too. Me too. But then when we're
I'm
talking
not
about,
saying versus HYROX. I'm saying in the
oh yeah,
world
yeah, yeah.
overall.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why then. That's the answer to the
So
question.
so if I didn't do CrossFit, but I wanted to make BJJ my life because it does all those things you just promised, right?
Mhm.
Other than time domains, which I don't care about. I'm like, it's fittest I can be doing this, teaches me about my life. I've overcome adversity. I'm fitter than I've ever been. My mind has improved, my diet. You see what I'm saying?
I do, but if you're saying fetish you could be, it's untrue, right?
Well, but I'm saying if I could find somebody that says absolutely, this is the fittest I've ever been, and this has got
And
me in unbelievable shape.
my question would be based on what markers?
Well, I'm gonna go to a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym and find out.
Yeah,
I just
do it.
this is but see this is I've had this idea in my head which I've always wanted to do, and maybe it'll be the last thing I do before I die because it's one of these like, oh, a project is you get people in front of a camera and you don't see what's like, you just see their face and they start talking about their community and how close they are, how they were accepted, got them through this hard time, all the things. And then you slowly back up, right? This person's a CrossFitter. This person's a run club. This person's stamp collecting. This person's chess, like community. And I think that's the problem I have. One of the problems I have is that every community thinks they wrote the book on what community is, and you can get all those things
So I
in a
I am
in a million ways. You can get community.
I agree.
Dungeons and Dragons. These are the closest people. They've known my secrets and never told my family. Like all that stuff.
Completely. I agree, and it's, it doesn't do me any favors, but I don't often talk about community being a thing as a whole. So I care about it, but it's a consequence. And that gambit that I use, that if I found a more effective thing for someone to define fitness and a training methodology built on principles that moved somebody closer, I'd move to it. And so I'm quite niche in that way. I'm very 1-0 binary. That's all I care about. The community part is, it comes alongside it. But for me, and that's why I choose CrossFit, not the acceptance bit or the community. It's the actual training bit. And so like my programming reflects that. And I'm quite what's the word? Brash individual for that, the way that I talk about things. So I'm like, I'm not here to cuddle you. I'm here to make sure that you can still sit on the toilet when you're 70. And so that's very much my view. I don't bend to make people happy that way. You know what I mean? I
It's not
think
the
the
sitting, by
community.
the way. It's not the sitting. It's the getting up from the toilet. That's the
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
bit.
true. True. I'm finding that already. But you know what I mean. So I don't. I get that point, and I completely agree with you that community is one of the, for most people, is one of the most things. But for me personally, the reason I own a gym is that other part, is not the friendly, cuddly like community bit. Like that's nice, but like for me, it's that. And same again. I've tinkered with things, this strongman thing and stuff, when I'm bringing in elements into the training, because I think that the carryover compared to some of the CrossFit stuff is more powerful. I'll bring that in, right? And so, yeah, that's how I build the reason I do the thing I do is for the efficiency part.
Well, one of the first things you and I talked about on Instagram was not fitness. It was about boundaries,
Yeah, yeah.
which is a big one in my life. And I learned, I don't know if I learned it later in life or right on time or whatever, but I know that it's one that um, people have a really hard time with. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and kind of when for you that started being important. When did you like flip that switch of like, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to talk to this person or I don't have to let this person decide like how they interact with me?
Yeah, I wish I could find a defining moment for it, and I've made this thing before, where if I could find a time machine, I know what my attitude is like towards this, and I know exactly what it was like before. Like burning the candle at 4,500 ends for people who had never done one single thing for me, to do everything for them in my power. And I know what the feeling was like previous, and I know what the feeling was like post. I don't know what the event was. I can't for the life of me
Do you know
figure out
what
what the
age? Do
event
you know what
was.
age about?
Probably like 5, 6 years ago. So
Okay.
not even that long ago. So I'm 33 now. So you'd be talking 27, 28. So I've been with my wife, wife now, but partner at the time, for a few years. I'd gotten into coaching, but didn't own the gym yet. Like I've unpicked this. I've written it down. I've journaled it. I've made spreadsheets and Miro boards on this to try and figure out, pinpoint it based on Instagram posts of when the flip happened. And I can't figure it out for the life of me. But it was one of the most, and this is kind of what we touched on, one of the most transformational things for me from being able to make a bigger impact. My thing is always impact. How can I make an impact on the biggest amount of people doing the stuff that I do? And I think without being able to set that, I don't owe these people anything. I'm just going to do what I think makes the best and biggest impact. The flip was just every marker that I could ever want has increased or gotten better over that time. It's one of those things. You just waste so much time in your life, that for people that if you died and the next day would forget about you in a week. I just find it bonkers.
Well, for me, it was a big about family. And I don't know if you want to talk about specific family members. You certainly don't have to. But for me, like my mom was a big one, right? And I would talk to my mother, and the first thing she would ask me, this is in my 20s, was, did I have insurance? And I didn't, because I was fucking broke, right? And I didn't think it was important, but it just would tear. I'd be like, no, Mom, I'm gonna. And then one day I was like, she asked me, and I said, we're not going to talk about that. Now you can imagine the shock and horror on my mom's, right? My mom is now no longer with us. R.I.P. Mom. On her face. And then that became pretty much half the things she would ask me. I would say, we're not going to talk about that. And then it was also true. I have 3 older sisters, and it kind of became the same with them. And then it became like they would joke about it. Like, oh, we can't ask Matt about that, right? Because that was their way to deal with it. Yeah. And then you just kind of learn, like, well, who do I want in my life? Like, who do I want, right? Because I'm related to them, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell a specific story. I don't know if I've told it before, but I remember there was a guy that one of these business coaches, this mentor of mine, his name's Mike Roth, R.I.P. him too. So what happens when you get older? Everybody's gone.
It will just pass.
I was about to go on a trip, and I had a gig, and he said, do you have any money? And I said, no. And he said, meet me here. And he met me at this gas station, and he bought me a carton of cigarettes, which I smoked at the time. He filled my gas tank. He gave me $200, and he said, this is not a loan. This is a gift. And I could cry now saying about it. Nobody had done that for me. Nobody related to me ever said, this is not a loan. It's a gift. And I was like, oh, this is what's possible in the world.
Yeah.
Because it never was. Nothing was ever like, you owe me either financially or emotionally if we're going to help you.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely. And I think, so the last 2 or 3 years, so I've got quite a big following on TikTok. I've got like 180,000 or something on TikTok. And I think what happened, that was, after thousands and thousands and thousands of videos, and then it happened in like 5 or 6. And I remember being in the absolute pits. And I'm very vocal. I don't journal. I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I just post everything on social media. So it's very obvious. You can see when I'm having a rough time. Like currently, I put a couple of posts up or whatever. And I remember I put one up talking about a touchy subject. So I'm medicated for bipolar, have been for about a decade. And so I have these phases where I'll be down in the dumps, blah, blah. And so I remember I put up a very obvious post. It's never a cry for help because I use it as a journal. So people get that, or PM me, whatever. For me, it's not like that. I use it as a journal for me. But I remember that I put up a video on TikTok, and the amount of people who just watched my shit and found it, a bit funny, and the amount of people that reached out and said, is there anything I can do for you? These random people on the internet who I'd never interacted with in my life were flooding from everywhere, yet not a peep from anywhere close to me, as outside my partner. And you're like, holy shit. Like, I've had a few moments where you're like, what am I doing here? And again, to you realize what's possible. The people out there that, and I don't know, it's a huge topic. Is it because people around you see you as the same as them because you were brought up under the same circumstances? They know you too well to be able to give you the credit that you're actually due? Maybe. But also, I just think that you come with a lot of baggage and a lot of other stuff, and maybe them intertwining. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm the same as you. That bit where you see what's possible from a human connection point of view, and things like CrossFit comps and HYROX and stuff, mate, people screaming at you, even the people that say, oh, this content's so hilarious, the stuff that I put up, nobody like near me, people I grew up with, that nobody's sharing shit. And these guys are like, this is the funniest video I've ever seen. This deserves 1 billion views.
Right.
And crickets. right? Like, so, if that doesn't tell you something about where you're at and where you should decide on where your loyalties lie, nothing will.
Yeah, and I've said this many times. My wife and I don't go anywhere for the holidays that we don't want to go. Like, oh, we gotta go to the in-laws. I'm like, no, you don't. It's like, oh, my mom's coming. I'm like, you don't have to put her up in your house. You 100% can say, Mom, get a hotel, and she will be
Yeah,
really mad at you, and you will have to be, get over that or deal with that, or
yeah.
maybe she won't talk to you or whatever it
But,
is.
but I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to family stuff, a lot of people don't get over that. There's an expectation for the entire life that you'll just do whatever and that you're bound by that. But then you're entirely different people. Like, apart from the fact you're bloodbound, you're completely different. You've lived almost, at my age 33, moved out when I was whatever 17. I've lived more than half my life away from that scenario. So, I'm a completely different human from the person that I was when we interacted when I was small. So I don't know. I get it. Some people are close with them and they feel the full need to continue on that bond for whatever reason, but I just don't think it's obligatory. I think if it's doing you harm or it's doing you like stress and, like, to your point, just don't do it. You know what I mean? It's like it's one of those things. It's yeah. So.
And I do have, we were talking about compassion. I do have a lot of compassion. I got 3 kids myself, and there's no handbook, as we say, and you're just figuring it the fuck out. So I give them a lot of grace for some of it, right? Not all of it, but some of it. I'm like, okay, like, being a parent is not easy, and you're trying to pay your own bills and figure out what the fuck your life's going on, and then you got these people who are succubuses. Kids.
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, like, they just need, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They need love, they need food, they need everything. And then, like, the older they get, it just shifts, right? So my kids are teenagers now, but it's still like it's a constant.
Yeah, mine's only 4.
Okay.
So that's
But
all I've got.
you don't it's not like when they're not with me, it's not there, right? It's a really fucking hard job is the point. So I do have some compassion for that. And I know that I parent my kids in a very different way. And my kids will come back to me and say shit to me that I probably, like, did horrible, like a horrible thing that I don't even remember. I'm sure that will happen. So just to
Yeah.
give the parents out there a break in the world.
Yeah, completely. But I think just focus on the stuff, like, that you have direct control over from that point, and you have way more control over who you interact with than you think you do when you're in amongst it. Like, years and years you spent just going, I'm just going to keep doing this and keep bending over backwards for this. And you're like, what am I gaining from this? Whether it's an interaction point of view, or whether it's actual physical time or money or any of that type of stuff. Like, what is this relationship gaining me? If the answer to that is nothing and it's one-sided, probably think about it a little bit differently, right? That can be hard. It could be like, whoa, why would I ever do that? This person I've known them for so long. Never the litmus test. I've met people in the last year that I'll like and do things for the rest of my life, and people that I've known for 30 that I will do fuck all for. You know what I mean?
Well, you said you don't journal anymore. You just post. Is there anything you won't post? Is there anything you won't talk about?
Good question. I don't talk about family too much. But nah, I think I've been over everything. I do just about everything because like, social proof for me, I think is good. And see when something's out in the open. See when I talked about, like, me being how long I'd been medicated for bipolar stuff, when I talked about being in an abusive relationship when I was younger, and once you talk about it, like, the weight off that the world knows, people live with this shit. Whether it's most of the time it's not important to them, or it is really important to them, but no one really cares. And you get this test of, once it's out in the world, it's out, and you can kind of either double down on fixing whatever it was, or you can forget about it. And for me, it's always been a very cathartic way for me just to get rid of stuff. Like, you speak to therapists, but it lives between you and the therapist. If it's out in the world, it can't get any further out in the world. You know what I mean? It's quite a deep topic, but I've always been like that. It's nice that way if you're open and honest. Whereas I think people, especially on social media and all these kind of influencer people, they weave this web of lies by accident, because you pretend to be somebody else for so long that you forget who you were pretending to be 6 months prior and 4 months prior, and what your opinion was on this product and this product. And I see it happen all the time. You know what I mean? The guys I've spoken to on podcasts 2 years apart, with very different views on stuff, because you can see that it wasn't your true opinion on something. It was just something you fucking made up. And I'll remember what they said, but they won't. And then you go back to it and it's like, oh, I thought that was that. No, I've always thought that. Not sure. Social's an odd one. Being a content creator, you're quite black and white like me though. So you like to speak to facts, which I like. It makes it much less stressful, because all you're saying is, here are the facts. Like when we had that chat yesterday, and you're like, here's the facts of stuff. Like, okay, cool. You can't really argue. You can argue with feelings and subjectivity. Can't really argue too much with facts, right?
Well, and we're not going to talk about that here, but but even in what you said, I'll just say there was an assumption I made that you pointed out about how I was talking about someone, and you were like, oh, well, like you're assuming that this. So anyway, we can talk more about that offline. But I also bipolar, diagnosed very late in life, about 7 years ago. And I was always, my wife always says, like, yeah, you always kind of ran hot, like, woo, like that's me, right? And then the downs were there, but just not as deep, right?
Okay, yeah, I get it.
And so when it finally was, when I wanted to like take my own life, it was like, oh, I need some real
that's that. Yeah,
I need some real help
mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah.
And so in many ways, my life started when that happened. Like something switched in me once I got medicated properly.
Completely. And it was the same as me when we're talking 10 years ago, or in my fuck, it's even longer now. I've been saying 10 years ago for the last 3 or 4 years, but yeah, we're talking 13, 14 years. And it's the same. Once you can recognize that this is a thing that's going on, like if I find a new hobby, right, for example, and this is, the ADHD traits kind of move over into bipolar pretty quickly when you're on when you're on the high side of the cycle. So if I'm there, if I find a new hobby, I'm going to buy everything for it within the next half an hour, and then I'm never going to do it again. And then, a week later, I'm just going to forget about it. And once you learn that you can double down and enjoy these things for a short time and not be really sad that you bought all the stuff. And I think it's the acceptance of what you're like as a person and just being more self-aware and moving forward from that point of view. But yeah, I agree. It's life-changing when you see what's wrong. What we got here?
Well, I'm someone that's always had like 2 or 3 different businesses going at once, and now I usually check with my wife, and she's great because she's like honest feedback. And I think before I wasn't sure I trusted her, because I'm like, she's gonna say no, because she's gonna think it means I'm distracted and I'm going to maybe make less at doing that or whatever. But now, because we've been through so much, and you have 3 kids over this long, like we're married coming up on 20 years. So we know each other pretty well. Right. So if I say, hey, I'm thinking about putting time and effort into this, what do you think? And she usually gives me really good feedback. And sometimes it's, I don't know, like go talk to some of your friends. And sometimes it's like, yeah, we can't do that. Like, let's not do that. Or sometimes it's like, yeah, let's fucking go for it. So, cause yeah, I get excited about a lot of things.
Very quickly, which is the same as me. Straight away, it doesn't take much. A small glimmer, and I'm all in.
Yeah, and it's been tough to say no to things. There are other things that I've done that I really want to keep doing, and specifically, like, so with this, right? I started this thing called Obstacle Racing Media back in 2012, and it's always been kind of the underlying full-time business. And then I've started other podcasts and other things. I put a race on a couple times a year, and then as this started taking off, hybrid 3 years ago, I had to stop like 3 other things. I'm like, if I'm going to give this a go, like I have to give this all my attention and still run the obstacle side, which requires less of my time now, but I have to go all in on this thing to the detriment of like a couple of other projects that would be cool.
Yeah. Do you think, I know this is me talking to you on this, but do you think that I speak to so many creators and people that are, what you would call in their area of work a hyperachiever, which you are in this world, right? So there's nobody really does as well as what you do in this area. I'm, pretty good at what I do in my area, and everybody has this same kind of thing. There's always some sort of, not neurodivergent, but just something extra going on, right? And I don't know, do you think that causes us to be a lot more introspective about what makes us tick and what things might go wrong, and that's why we can take, because this world of content creation and doing stuff, you get bludgeoned day after day after day, whether that be by people, whether that be by the stats. You spend 5 hours in a video and get 1 view. I think you just get bludgeoned, and I think that having this thing you've had so much time to learn about who you actually are that you're like, okay, I've got the patience and the awareness to see that it's okay to get bludgeoned because there's something at the end of the tunnel. I don't know. I guess the question is, do you think that this has actually worked in
It,
your favor to this
well,
way?
it's a super fine line, right? Because I I always tell people don't get hung up in the numbers, especially with podcasting. Although now podcasting is different, but like people just would get just very hung up. And I'm like, don't even look at them. Like, literally,
Yeah.
don't look at them because you'll go crazy. And I used to be, as soon as I loaded up, as soon as I go into Libsyn, the first thing I do is check the numbers. And so I try not to do that every time. And the answer is always just put out more content. Like, that's always the answer.
Yeah.
And I really try not to get hung up. And I've talked to friends who like, oh, this one didn't do that well. And I'm like, why do you even care? But I do care. And it's really hard. And if something does super well, I am very proud of it because
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you should be as well. Yeah.
But some of the times I make something that I think is hilarious or insightful and it's right. And then it's the thing,
Yeah.
and then it's the thing that took me 30 seconds that people go, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I've got a great one about that. My first ever, I think it was 5 million view video ever. Right, I'd bought myself a Sony camera at the time. I think no, I had a Canon EOS R at the first time. I just bought a lens. I'd financed the shit out of this nice camera. Blah blah. I was making all this stuff, and then it wasn't really doing very well. And then off the cuff, randomly, I had a tech YouTube channel that had a few thousand subscribers on it, and I was doing all these long form stuff. I'd get 1 view, 2 views, 10 views, 20 views, whatever. And then I posted one, which was I went onto the Mac website and I just built the most expensive Mac, right? Just built it. I didn't buy, I just built it, right? And I just went to and I says, oh yeah, fuck it, we'll put that on. Fuck it, we'll put that on. It was on my phone. I couldn't be bothered to set up my camera, but I knew I had to put something out. So I just split the screen. It recorded in 720, so you could barely even see my face. You couldn't hear what I was saying. It was straight in the car, and it did 5 million views. And I remember it was right in amongst the middle of all of that amazing content where I just bought this camera, and it was just one of the most fucking deflating things ever. I was like, man, you couldn't write this shit. But then you learn lessons. So now I genuinely think, and you'll probably be quite close to this as well, where you say, oh, you do a bit of content where you think it'll do really well and it doesn't. Actually, do you not find that more often than not, now you can kind of tell when something's going to do really well?
Well, I could just tell you that I'm getting better and better at it. I mean, I'm looking at
Yeah.
when I look at my what do you call it? When you go to Instagram, there's
Dashboard or whatever it is. Yeah, the
yeah,
professional dashboard thing.
when you look at the professional dashboard, and that number every month is going up and up and up. It's okay. This is working, right? Like this is literal proof of what you're doing. And because I make money through sponsors. One of the ways I make money is through sponsors. Like I want to show them that metric because I know that it's really good. And people are figuring that out. It used to be like this person has 1 million followers. Now they know it doesn't matter if nobody's engaging with it, right? Like somebody,
Yeah.
right? Somebody that actually gets traction and like the things that people say when they say nice things, which I appreciate, is like, oh, well, nobody's really doing what you do, right? And so
Yeah.
if they recognize that, it's like, oh, thank God, because I have been doing this for 15 fucking years. So I'm glad it's finally paying off.
It's not the bit that ever gets talked about, right?
Right.
It's not. It's like my big following on TikTok. People are like, oh my god, you got such a big following. I genuinely looked at how many I follow, how many videos, and it was like 1,500 videos before I had like 10,000 or something, and I went from 10,000 to 180,000 in the following 20 videos. Mate, 1,000 pieces of content. Are you joking? You know what I mean? Like it's that thing. It's like, oh yeah, it must be easy, must be. I've been at this a long time, and that's where it just gets relentless. Where you just have to keep going and going and going and going and going.
I mean, like it's not that I know, it's just that I have a pretty good feeling, and then I
Yeah,
try not to get hung up and like let me look 5 minutes from now to see how many likes it's getting, and I'll just be real. Because I have a good UK audience with this, I can do things I couldn't do with the obstacle racing, which was always American audience. We had a little bit, but I got like 25% of our audience is over there. That's huge. That's a big number.
do you think I've got this funny thing? It's never been my bag, but do you see a resurgence of the obstacle course racing thing? Because I do.
Not over
I
here.
do. The only reason I say that is because I'm seeing a lot of people come in now from HYROX to CrossFit, and actually, I think that it's a fine move, but actually, I think a move into something like one of these other racing things would be good because I think that imagine the level of people, right? You take back to Tough Mudder time and Deerstalker and all that when they were big. Imagine the level of average participant back then compared to what it would be now, because you have swathes of people going who are super fit, who've done HYROX, who now go into this
But see,
OCR stuff. Ah,
but that's the whole thing, and I've definitely talked about this, which was um even to train for it. My first Tough Mudder, me and 10 buddies, we made shirts, we
yeah.
trained, we met together, we ran, and then we got done with it and they went, that was fun. I'm going to go back to my life now. Right? It was a day out, it was a bucket list, jumping in ice water, going through fire, all that stuff. I am a fucking lunatic and it took over my life, right? But and that's everybody you ever meet in OCR. I went with a bunch of
Yeah,
friends. What you started to hear was I went with a bunch of friends and I was the only one that did it again. Or they all bailed. They didn't even show up
yeah,
that
okay.
morning.
Yeah.
HYROX is
Yeah,
different. HYROX is, well,
yeah.
yeah, we're going to go, we train, we're in the fucking
Yeah.
gym getting fit. Let's go test our fitness. I ran an hour 20. Now I want to get an hour 15. And
Yeah.
again, not that people didn't go to the gym and then go run in the mud because they did. But
But
I'm saying,
mostly not really. It was one of those things where you'd find so many people that
right.
just done it. They'd done
So,
nothing and
so,
just
so
showed up and
yes,
done it.
if you got hordes of people doing Spartan races, it could, and maybe it's a resurgence over there. Right now, it's about flat. We had a little bit of a post-COVID bump, and now it's kind of flattened out again. But I wanted to get back to what I was saying, which is I can now go to. So last night is a perfect example. I wanted to get this thing about Deadly Dozen out. They're in a bunch of countries. I didn't finish working on it till 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, it's already 8 o'clock here. And by the way, there's no bad time to post. I'm going to quickly say that there's no bad
Yeah.
time. I just don't
Agreed.
usually go past 8 p.m. typically, but 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's all, if you look at your numbers, it's all the same. Not lunchtime, drive home. I don't get hung up in any of that shit. But I do stop if it's late at night. I'm like, okay, it's probably, this can wait. If this isn't breaking news, it can wait. So anyway, because I can launch it at 2 in the morning. So I can wake up at 7 in the morning and see that it already has some traction in the UK. And that feels nice. And I got to admit, like this morning, I woke up and it's the first thing I did. I do pick up my phone before I get out of bed. Is that healthy? Probably not. But it's what I do. But
Do you?
sometimes I get so bad I have to turn it off. I'm like, if something's doing really well, I'm posting all this shit about HYROX and people are commenting and going crazy. And I'm like, I have to turn this off because it's taking over my life.
That was my question. So I've gotten very good, subjectively, at not combing the stats, but see when something goes nuclear. Like these trial reels for me lately, like this HYROX content's went massive, and
So you did that? You did the trial thing?
I do both. I do
I'm too,
one in trial and
I'm
one in
too
normal.
scared. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I don't want it to get no views. I'm scared.
No, but when it says to trial, nobody knows. So I post one as trial, and then I post one as normal, and I'll leave it as a trial forever. I never post it to my feed. So there's one version of the video that you've seen that does
Is it
really
the
well, but
same? Is it the same
yeah,
video?
the same.
Oh, well, I'm an idiot then. I was like, oh, well, this video doesn't do well.
I did notice, I've been quiet on content for the last couple of days, but I did notice that they might have stopped you being able to do it now, because the last one I tried to do it was like, this video is similar to something you've posted before, even though I hadn't. So I don't know. But basically, like I've got one sitting. So the HYROX Zoo warm up area one, the
Oh,
David Attenborough thing.
fucking brilliant,
I
man.
had one in trial, and that had the one that's in the trials got 300,000 views, and the one that's on my feed's only got 118.
Let's play.
So
Let's play a couple minutes of it while we're talking. And by
what
the
is
way, I
this
don't
thing?
know that you even like invented this. Like other people might have done something like it, but
Oh yeah, maybe. I've
but
not seen it.
but you did an unbelievable version of it. And people are like, people might not even know who David Attenborough is. Like I knew exactly what you were doing. How far down the feed are we?
Like seven videos maybe.
Just 7?
It's yeah, I've not posted much. So
Oh,
I've
here
got
we go.
three or
Here we go.
10th video in.
Warm up area. As you can see, absolutely buzzing with creatures. The best amongst the creatures are most commonly trademarked by a striped nose, very quick but incredibly small in stature, and with a very obvious fear of upper body garments. Oh, what do we have here? What a rare find. A CrossFitter. You don't see this very often. It looks like he's trying his best to blend in, despite being the slowest of the pack. Not one creature cares about his strength. It's useless here. If you listen closely, we'll hear him whimper which station is the barbell as the other creatures laugh and joke. Maybe one day he will be accepted as one of their own.
So who did you get? Did you get AI to do the voice? Who did you get to do the voice?
Yeah. So I wrote the thing and then just typed in David Attenborough AI
The
thing on
stripe,
Google.
the stripe nose. You had me. You had me at stripe nose.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
And I've thought about doing a bit. And again, like most of my stuff is factual. But I have thought about like finding a bunch of these guys because they really do look the same. And with the mustache and the hat and the tattoos and the stripe, and I'm like, I want to like take the piss and like it might even insult them if I get a bunch, if I take pictures of a bunch or get videos of a bunch and they literally are the same guy. And funny
Yeah.
enough, the content creators, like those guys even have the same look. Like they got the camera and they've got the extra baggy CrossFit shirt and they've got
Yeah.
the hat, the backwards hat. And I'm like,
That's it.
I saw a guy once that I thought it was a guy I know. It was a different guy.
Yeah. It's mad. Like genuinely exactly the same. It's great. I love it. Brands. The thing that I like about this is, and I've never had a clothing brand or I've never had like a performance brand, but I love that. You know, this Zone 8 thing, right? Name me another, the Zone 8 nose strip thing. Have you seen them?
Yes.
So name me another thing where like they're probably doing fucking super well now, right? And it's just a random person with a random like the platform that people have got to go and do stuff and sell things, because there's things that people want. Think about the fucking cis gels. They've probably never been as big in the history of time, you know, take marathons and whatever else. But these gels now, everybody's probably nailing them, you know, or I don't know what stuff people in HYROX use gel wise. Maybe it's the HYROX specific gels, my protein ones or whatever. But it's like, I think these little things having a chance to capitalize on that is great. And HYROX not really caring much about it, because CrossFit, on the other hand, right? If somebody started punting products in the CrossFit world that they didn't have their hooks into, they'd fucking kick off about it. You know what I mean? They'd go nuts about it. It's an IP issue. It's a blah, blah, blah. HYROX are like, yeah, sure, go make money off us. I love that.
Well, yeah, it's funny because when you talk about what's HYROX training, they like every week we were getting an email that's like, here's the new HYROX training app. Here's the best way to train for HYROX. And like, they don't give a fuck. The next month, there's another one, right?
Yeah.
And each city can have its own gym sponsor. Like they're just like, bring it on.
Yeah.
So if I made an app, I don't think like getting that deal with HYROX, because it's all noise, right? And then they have their own thing called HYROX 365, which no one can tell me what it is, including the guys that run HYROX 365. Now, you know what FIBO is, right?
Yeah.
So FIBO is going to happen again in Germany in April, and I'm sure there will be another press release about HYROX 365 there that will be no different than the ones from the previous 2 years. I can bet you.
I have no idea what it is or what it's going to be.
Oh, it's a way to train for HYROX, and it's an all-in-one solution. But how? Well, just buy the equipment, and then you're.
I've got a conversation topic. Are you wanting to cut this off at an hour, or are you okay to stick around for a while?
We're good. You're
Right.
good guess.
I have a conversation topic. Was it you that did it, or somebody else on the center rowing machine?
No, I did not do that.
Oh,
Did they invent one? They have a new one?
So there was a video of it at the expo in Vegas, I think. So they had a stall and there was a center rowing machine.
I've seen like a strength one, like it's like a what do you
not the strength erg. And this is specifically different, not a PM5 monitor. So it's a specific thing. It matches the branding. It's center kit, so it matches the weights and the sleds. It matches the wall balls. I don't have a crystal ball. But watching that, I think that they will try to make a shift away from the C2 machines to these center machines. I've got this feeling. If I am a HYROX owner, from a branding perspective, is there a deal between center and HYROX? Do they own part of it or something?
No, but there's a massive. When Center came in, they became a massive sponsor, and now they sponsor athletes as well. So
I think they will shift, and I think it will be one of the most catastrophic things for gym owners everywhere. Okay. I think it'll be fucking horrible.
Somebody I like and respect said Rogue is tired of giving away money, and they will make the row erg and the ski erg a part of everything.
I think they will for CrossFit comps, but I think for HYROX specific, because I've got a couple of Rogue machines. They're good. They're better than C2s.
But I'm saying right now C2 is the brand, right?
Oh yeah, they are.
But Rogue is going to be like, why are we giving? Like they sell C2s on their website. Why don't we just make our own? And they'll say to any of the comps, right? Any of the big, whatever, Wodapalooza, anything, like this is what you're going to use. You don't get to use Concept 2 machines anymore.
Yeah, I know. But I think there's so that works in CrossFit to a point. It works in the functional fitness, international functional fitness. It works in British functional fitness. I don't think it works in HYROX, but I think the center one does because it makes sense. The yellow handles and shit, they're not quite the right yellow. They don't make sense. HYROX is very nice looking. It's very aesthetic, but the green handles and the green, whereas the center machine looks sexy as fuck. And like, I think
pull
if
this up
they,
now.
what's that? Yeah, you have to, yeah, mate. I need to. In fact, let me find the fucking post. I'll send it to you. But I think they will move across. But what I think it does is it causes a lot of upset. So I'm a gym owner, and I know that if I had people doing HYROX, they would want the machines that they're going to be using at a HYROX. And also, as much as they say that the drag factor and all that stuff is the same, wait, let me find the link for you. It's definitely not. So the times would be different. So you'd have people hitting PRs or shitter times because the
So
machines
first of
are
all, here's
different.
what's interesting is when I look at Shop Center, right now they got all this pretty new white.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there was a big press release. They wanted me to share it. They were like, we get a lot of press release garbage. It's like, oh, the white sleds are coming out. Do you want to share this? I'm like, no, I don't. It's not going to, if you're going to affect the race itself, sure. But a new color, a new colorway? No, I'm not.
I've sent you the thing on Instagram. I can see they've got runner and they've got the row erg. But for me, there's a ski erg there as well. Yeah, there is a ski erg. And so they're different monitors. They're not the PM5 monitors that are on the C2s. And I think that causes a big discrepancy from old times and world records and stuff. But I think the biggest person it hits is gym owner like me's pockets. Because people, if these were used in the race, which is a very sensible idea for HYROX, by the way, given how close they are, the branding makes sense.
It looks very similar.
They're nice, right? Yeah. But the monitor is very different.
Well,
and the makeup C2 have the IP, so people can't make direct replicas. They can make them close, but not exact.
So is this in the warm up? No, this is
New center house. I can't tell where it is. Don't know.
It's all in the PM5 monitor and platform around the monitor. Anyone can make it feel like a C2, but C2 PM5 does so much more than that, and all that platform built around it. The logbook, for example, has so much trust built into it with World HYROX records in these sports. Is this guy getting paid?
He's talking truthfully.
Job 94 will shout you out, buddy.
Yeah. Concept 2 will always be the GOAT. Yeah. But for me, I have this deep intrinsic fear that people are going to want to use those machines. And if they were to use them in a race, I'm not saying they will. Obviously, they might not. But
yeah, Matt Halfhill is my buddy who owns Nice Kicks. He says center making ergs to give consumers an option other than C2. HYROX and C2 signed a long-term partnership just recently, by the way, and he knows about that stuff. So I would take his word for it.
Yeah. Okay, good. I like that.
But I definitely am interested to see what goes on with what happens with Rogue, because again, concept 2 is like the Coca-Cola. Like, I want a Coke. You know what I mean? People don't say I want a soft drink.
The Rogue machines are really good. I recently got a rower, an assault bike, and they're shit hot. They're good. They're big, hefty machines. They're built like Rogue kit. They don't feel like a nice dainty C2. They feel like a big behemoth of a piece of kit. And people race to get on them because they just look cooler. You know what I mean? They're just newer and fancier, and they look nice. I rate them.
I mean, listen, I became a runner when I started doing Spartan and all that stuff 15 years ago. And I did some body weight exercise. I wasn't really a gym guy. But I had never touched a skier till the first time I showed up at HYROX. I had never pushed a sled, like, in my life.
Yeah.
I showed up to the zone and I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? And that's what I mean by, like, even people that were fit didn't necessarily use an erg, and now ergs are everywhere in every competition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's how do I put it? Do you I take it you're a big fan of all of the multiples of different events that are HYROX knockoffs making their way to the forefront. I take it you're a fan of that, or are you not?
I'm a fan of more choice. I'm a fan of growing the sport because I like the sport and because I make money. Like, this is my way I make a living. UK, you guys were like right on it. 2 years ago, 3 years ago. First of all, it became out of necessity. You couldn't get a fucking HYROX ticket, right? That was part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you got a lot of what we like to call HYROX, but a different order. Like it's essentially a HYROX.
Yeah.
And in America, we haven't. In America, we only have Deca, which is the Spartan version, right? And then Deadly doesn't try it over here. It still hasn't really hit. Athex finally had their first event, and it was like kind of an invitational. There was only a couple hundred people. So I'm waiting for more competitors to come in. And I thought someone like a Rogue would come in and do that, like a Rogue, or maybe a clothing manufacturer, or maybe somebody, maybe a marathon company. Somebody would go, wait a minute, how hard can this be? I'm not saying it is easy,
So
because it is, but a room full of people with money going, hey, let's do a sandbag carry instead of a lunge, and let's do it.
You'll like this. In fact, you're one of the few people who would like this, I think. So I'd spoke about this briefly on the Continuum channel for a while. I've got the means and mechanisms to set up a CrossFit licensed event.
Okay.
So like my actual one at the end of April is CrossFit licensed, and so you pay the license fee for it. I want to set up an event in this style, but CrossFit license it. I want to call it a hybrid event just to piss off everybody, right? But I want to put a barbell in it, so it's the same format of an hour long, an hour and 10 long, but it really blurs the lines of the two, because I want to see who it annoys the most. I think the buy-in would be there, but because CrossFit wouldn't like it, and if I was to say to them, by the way, I'm about to license this event and it is a hybrid event at its core, they don't do much digging into the programming. So if I was to do it as...
What's Continuum?
So Continuum is a new channel that me and a few other guys have set up for CrossFit media in the UK, because similar to you, we've shut off from the American stuff. All you have to do is look at the difference between CNN and BBC and what goes on to it, and look at, we're consuming different sets of stuff. So me and Jake and Jon and a few others have set up the Continuum channel, which is a CrossFit media channel with a few podcasts.
Can you do your best BBC commentator voice?
I'd have to use AI. You saw me do the David Attenborough one. I'm not good at it. What would be the headline?
Dave Castro buys CrossFit. I don't know.
No, probably not. But I just embarrassed myself, and could have given that a shot, and it'd have been a fucking belt.
It's just they sound exactly like you'd think they would sound. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's boring and it's dull and it's boring,
it's dull, and it's English. But then there's the voice that's a little bit excited. That is the one that's between shows, which is like coming up on BBC 5, it's The Office, right? Like that guy or gal like sounds the same. And I've been to England like a ton, and over years, it's never is it a different person? Is it the same person?
Yeah. No. I think there's like two or three of them.
Sky Sports.
That person, yeah. Sky Sports.
Right.
Yeah, but it's an idea I've had for a little while, and I want to do it because I think it'd be super interesting to see how it landed. Maybe both sides would boycott it, or both sides would love
it. Well, I'm sure you've seen the Xenom.
Well, yeah, but that's pure CrossFit. They're never going to call it hybrid, are they?
But what do you think that is?
Yeah, but it's CrossFit, right?
I'm asking what you think of the like they apparently think they're going to make a big splash.
No, I don't. No, I think they're trying to fill a hole that WFP already filled. It's fine. I rate the guy. Like I think he's cool. I think he's got a good idea. I think he's got big pockets. But you're not going to compete with any of the stuff that he's trying to compete with.
So you don't think they're going to sell 2,000 tickets at $500 a pop for their first competition?
I do not. In fact, no. For the first one, I do. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I think there's enough go-getters in the world that are willing to do that with big enough pockets. But see, from a longevity perspective, this whole stadium take over the planet thing, like I love it. I love CrossFit. It's my whole life. But mate, that's a big ticket item. You grow it naturally, like every other comp in the world has ever done. You don't just go, we're taking over the planet. I mean, I invite the guy, and he's happy enough to come chat on the podcast. So, like, I'll speak to him and see what his view is and stuff. And I'm imagining he's going to say, yes, I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to say, good luck with that. And that's probably how that conversation. Yeah. So, yeah, great, fair, but I don't know. What's the angle that's not currently filled by everything that's currently on the market? That's the thing I don't. That's the thing I don't.
I definitely want to hear your episode, because I've not been able to get up on my show, so I look forward to hearing your episode.
Yeah, and I think, because I'd kind of said I'm the perfect person to talk about this, because I think if you speak to too many CrossFit people that aren't agnostic enough of other things existing, it's just going to echo chamber. Whereas, I'd be interested to see what is, is this an accessibility angle? Is it like trying to make the games 10 times a year angle? Is it, I don't know. I don't quite. It's cool. The branding's cool. It's got that Affix-esque thing about it. Maybe a little bit less cool than Affix, but it's got that kind of vibe about it. But I just think there's a very high barrier to entry on that. Fucking right there is. Not just cost, but some of the fucking workouts and numbers are nuts. And I'm quite good at CrossFit. You know what I mean? And I'm going, come on.
Come on.
Come on.
All right, well, listen,
yeah.
there's like 10 other things I want to ask you about, but I think we should save it. I think this was an amazing first chat.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I'll definitely have you back on. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Rayner _ or I do quite a bit of content on the Continuum channel, which is CrossFit New Media Space. Or you'll see me doing more HYROX content in the future as a CrossFitter lost in the HYROX world, I would imagine.
All right, see you later.
Ciao, ciao.